crazy Philly physiology and nonsense from perps. Obsession with dopamine stores, hemisphere dominance, central cerebral artery, arthritis, left-handedness, translucent retinas, head shape. So it would relate to junk science called phrenology. Anatolian bumps in occipital buns, and something in the Bible about a man not having anything pertain to a woman or some crazy nonsense like that. Masculine, feminine, behind that you have these goofy Hindus chasing you because you have this 9 numerology number. And I suspect when we start chasing the money, it's going to trace back to India or somewhere over here in Asia. Had to get that off my chest. Femoral arteries, central cerebral artery, damage to the vagus nerve, damage to the cerebellums, damage to the frontal lobes, male left, female right, damage to the motor hemisphere on the right side, which controls the left side of the body and the major muscle groups. Damage to the cerebellum on the left side, which controls the left hand. It will tell you that they're trying to make things right with you. You know, stand with their feet crossed one over the other. It means that you're left over, that they're trying to change your hemisphere dominance through noise torture, various frequencies, and cranial nerve damage. So I would send a message to the UN that I had fear for having traumatic brain injuries or permanent brain damage from these people and their belief systems. There's obsessions with dopamine and other things, that insanity that is absolutely, positively none of their business. And usually when you have these people out on the road harassing people and chasing them, there is somewhere that government mandate, a case was lost, something happened, there's a law that's supposed to protect someone's rights, and they're in a conspiracy to go around that law and deprive this individual or groups of individuals of their rights, like the 13th Amendment of the Constitution, the 10th Amendment in the church that would set these arbitrary standards, the violation of privacy, which includes bodily integrity. You'd have some person trying to force you into celibacy, either male or female. We'd have problems with these people and their organizations and their churches. Whatever religion they belong to or whatever group they belong to, most TIs endure the same kind of stuff. Harassed over your purchases, harassed over your vitamins, your supplements, your lifestyle, harassed over information that you would have that they don't want you to have because of your race or your background. Followed and harassed even over things your doctor would prescribe for you as medicine. They may not approve of you having it, especially certain medicine the doctor would give you for migraines or for your brain, so on and so forth. These people are egregious invasions of privacy, and most of their people are targeting they have no direct ties to. There may be a family member that belongs to a certain religion or certain organization that they're harassing for whatever reason, some goofy vindictive cop or some crazy preacher from one of those evangelical churches. Now, typically Western Buddhist evangelical churches are a problem to us, especially in my case, the Pentecostal church. Part of privacy is something called bodily integrity, is to be left the way you are, left alone and not bothered with anybody. And it's right over your reproductive organs and how they're used. Hopefully you're using them with other consenting adults. Under the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, As an American citizen under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, you are not required to live by someone else's morals or ethics. As a citizen of the United States, being a Buddhist, I would only be required to follow our moral codes and to comply with criminal code to the best of my ability. At the biggest part, we would have an intentional infliction of emotional distress and an egregious invasion of privacy. They would call this an interruption because normally these people have been handpicked to be people that would get on your nerves and drive you crazy, because if someone stalked and profiled you, created a file, and jury-rigged a gang for you to harass you. So, as an African American, that gang would include white separatists and white supremacists in an attempt to break you down. Now, your local church or whatever your relative's church knows that they put these people on you, and some of these people may have your life in jeopardy. Usually when they screwed up like that and they wound up exposing a person to the Ku Klux Klan, famous last black words is putting it in the Lord's hands. Now, when they would tell you as an African American and you're targeting, they may tell you they've put the white man on you. That usually means that the Klan or the Aryan Brotherhood are after you. So you need to understand that they torture and kill people slowly. There is no microwave device. Most of the time the people are suffering from hyperflexion of the neck. They have vertigo. They have anxiety from the noise that surrounds them. And they have tinnitus due to neurological damage and peripheral nerve damage. Once again, we will repeat that because there isn't any evidence that I've ever had a dew used on me. I would see marks that look like they came from a laser of some kind. And I'd see burns from a stun gun. I'd see burns from cigarettes. I'd see where I was hit in the head with various objects. I could show you various appliances in my apartment, including this one that has been hit in the top, my refrigerator. They tend to beat up my refrigerator, beat up my microwave, and I see a calculator smashed and thrown into the street. Now, that's the Pentecostal Lutheran Garbage Message Center. In other words, they will stroll out garbage and symbology in one place to the next to tell you what it was you've done wrong. We'd be investigating skid marks in an accident that occurred in 1994 because somebody said that it was possible that I might have had ESP. Now, ESP is the Electronic Stability Project. It's a system on a truck that's supposed to help to keep it from turning over when you would turn too hard and it would normally flip over. So we would have these skid marks as if we were part of the NTSB, and Noelle, the woman who I was involved in this accident with, she'd be 16 at the time. Noelle would be seriously injured. She had abrasions on her knee. She admitted fault to the accident. This site would be the site of numerous traffic accidents, and not all the skid marks in the accident would necessarily be mine. Now, they would tell you these skid marks, and they're trying to elicit a confession that I made a mistake. Now, any mistake I made in my lane, the left lane where I was traveling, and I tried to avoid her by going over the yellow line onto the shoulder. All of the debris would be in the left lane. Her vehicle would be on the left side, facing the opposite direction. This crap would go on since they would start in 2000 in regards to this accident. Now, the accident happened in June 1994. I worked for A&R Transport until 1995 October. Bub Moore is Noel's uncle. I never heard another word about that accident after I filled the report. I got a ticket from this jerk of a cop. I've had trouble with him before. He caused me to run over a light pole that was laying on the ground. We will tell that story. I'm on my way from Kankakee. A lot happens going to Kankakee, Champaign. I'm on my way back from Kinkle at Kankakee and I have an empty trailer. And I'm traveling in the left lane. There's nobody close behind me. There's nobody too close in front. And I'm driving about 60, 62. And all of a sudden, I go by this cop car. And lights and siren on like there's an emergency. So I would quickly pull to the right and then pull to the shoulder. On the shoulder is a light pole laying there on the ground. I would try to pull out to avoid it, but I would instantly have cars beside me, just like when I make a right turn at 45, and just like my right turn at Highway 11. Set them up, knock them down. So anyway, I would get a scan, and Bub Moore would tell me that he needs permission because they don't believe my injuries are related to the work. He needs permission to take this to an expert in the area of workers' comp. And I would sign a release for these documents to go to wherever Bub took them to. Of course, they're going to tell me that wasn't related and they don't want to pay for my physical therapy. There would be a whiplash injury and spinal injury post the accident. We have another incident where I had a lateral whiplash when I run through a pothole at the Speedway. We're at Seville, Ohio. It would be the day before the dreaded incident where I would toss the cigar out the window. The day after, where I toss the cigar out the window, and it would hit the side of the tank, and some guy would be coming like a crazy person, and all of a sudden he would slow down. I thought he was going to hit me in the back. Trinity Lutheran Church, St. Peter's Lutheran Church, Saline, Ohio. So, we would have that, a run-in with the Ku Klux Klan in 1993. They were on their way to a Klan rally in Madison, Wisconsin. It would be televised on the Gerardo Rivera show. So this accident, we would leave in 95, would not be mentioned again. My mother would be inquiring about this accident as I'm getting ready to go back to work. My mother never asked me about anything related to work, and I can't believe she would even remember this accident, and she would be asking about it 5 years later. Then all of a sudden my stocking and these the gold Saturn would show up. Repent, atone. The atone license plate. They were told that off the record we would get this information. Kind of like a person will walk by and tell you something, another person will walk by and tell you something. A person would sit next to you on a park bench, secret agent style, tell you a bunch of stuff, get up and leave, kind of thing. Gives you the feeling that you're into something and you're kind of the spy. So then the next thing you know, you will delude yourself and start calling this individual your handler. What he's doing is he's giving you information that will probably get your ass in trouble with these very same people who were trying to brand you a witch. They profile the individual, and he usually has to have a high IQ because he needs to be very observant to pick up the changes and the information that they would provide in a manner where he can interpret it. So automatically they would have a profile for someone that they would want to use like this. Dopamine stores, physiology, keys are an obsession with these people. White tags, white ceiling, diamonds, queens, kings. Supposedly my uncle would be tangled up in this because he went to get a case of some